Hi everyone, my name's Anne Marie. Welcome to Card Making Project 544. Today we're going to make a gorgeous card and we're going to use the mini birthday sentiment and embellishment stickers from Anna Griffin. I'm very excited to use these. I've been looking forward to this card because it's such a pretty one. Everything I do use I should put in a detailed list on my blog. And I'm sorry if you think I'm sniggering. I've just made a blooper on the last video that will have to go on the gag reel, and I'm still just laughing about it now. And then I did it again, so it's kind of not my day today, but they'll, might be funny for Christmas. My friend Kyla will enjoy it anyway. So you can always find me on Facebook, you can always comment, you can also get in touch with me on Facebook. Find me on Twitter, on Instagram. Instagram is my favourite. Now this was the blooper bit actually, and I didn't say it correctly. So you can always find me on Instagram because it is my favourite pastime, and I like to lose time on Instagram as I'm flicking through all your gorgeous creations, because boy, you are a creative bunch. Now, I've got to say, I love hearing from you, and it is so nice to know that you're enjoying the tutorials. And now we have Christmas on a Friday. I like the fact that you're enjoying that, and I know, we're creeping to Christmas, and we will have more Christmas the closer we get. So without further ado, please sit back, relax, and let's have a look at today's gorgeous project. For today's project, we're going to be using the 22 clear birthday rubber stamp set from Anna Griffin. We're going to be using the Make-A-Wish stamp. Now, mine have been very well loved, so you might not be able to tell which the stamp is that I've used until you see it. But you might, if you haven't got this because it's an older item, you might want to use something from the Treasury collection, the beautiful stamps in those. I wanted a stamp that was in one line, and I think that one's going to work perfectly for our card today. We're going to be using, from the all square set of dies, we're going to be using the circle and the border. So we're going to use the ornate layer and the shadow layer. We're also going to use the border of the all square set and the shadow layer, and then we're also going to use the lace edge cut dies. We're going to be using just the ornate layer from this set. So our base card that we're going to need is a 7x5 inch card, and I want to show you how it looks on our cardometer for any new viewers. Now, a cardometer is something I was asked to be able to give perspective at home of the size of the cards that I'm using. Now, a 7x5, or for my friends across the pond, 5x7, is my favourite size of card, and it sits very nicely on our cardometer there. Now, the largest size on our cardometer, to give you perspective, is the A4. And the A4 folded in half gives you A5. Across the pond, I know it's A3. And then the next size down is the 7x5. That is, I think, just the ideal size for cards, because it's not too big, not too small. There's enough real estate area to fill, and just to make it look gorgeous, basically. On the back of the card, I've used my handmade stamp by Anna Griffin, and I've stamped it in black permanent ink, and I've added my name, so the person receiving the card will know who sent it to them. I'm going to use my bone folder from the Anna Griffin tool collection, just to make sure that that crease is nice and sharp at the top of the card, so that when it stands up, it gives it a nice professional finish, and when it's on the mantelpiece, it just looks like a professional crafter has made it. So we're going to start with the inside first. Now, I know you all like ideas for inserts, and I think this is a really nice one, and it's really pretty. It's going to work very well with the outside. The first layer that I've cut is from the Lovely Layers collection, and it's simply cut to 1/4 of an inch smaller than the actual card itself, just to give it an edge. In fact, it's not from the Lovely Layers, it's from the double-sided cardstock that Anna had, but the same pattern is in the Lovely Layers collection, the set 1. So anything that's going to tone in will work. I haven't inked the edges on this layer, and I've just got flat tape on the back, so we're just positioning it through the centre of the card. Now the next layer is just plain ivory cardstock, and you can see on the back it's actually one of the 6x4 cards that was in one of Anna's collections, and it's the back of that, so I haven't been wasteful. When I've used the front for something, I keep back so that I can use them for inserts, and I have lightly tapped an ink pad, just a pink ink pad, it could be any ink that you've got, just around the edges, just to give it a little bit of extra colour against that pretty background. And I'm popping it into the card just slightly to one side, just not central. Next, I've used the shadow layer of the all square set of the round fancy die that's in that set. And I've used the same cardstock that I've used on the base. And then I've slightly inked the edges. I've got flat tape on the back of this. And I can add this to our card. Now I've actually done some precisional die cutting for this, because the flowers that I've cut, I want to see those when I add the sentiment. So I've cut it in such a way that if I add the flowers on from the die cut onto the page like that, that I'm going to be able to see them. So I've kind of just thought about where I placed the die when I die cut it out. Next, because our main focal points on this card are the gorgeous new mini birthday stickers and sentiments from Anna, I've taken one of the gorgeous little cupcakes that's on a stand, and it's one of the 3D stickers. I've left it as a 3D sticker. I've simply peeled the back of it away, and I'm going to place it just along the edge of where the ivory cardstock underneath meets the shadow layer of the lace circle. So if you can see that, it just marries up. So it's kind of positioning it. I know we don't normally, we just, you know, put stuff on. So, but I'm kind of making that to go with the edge of the insert of the ivory panel. Next, I've taken one of the gorgeous little sentiments from the sticker collection, and this says happy birthday, and all I'm going to do is slot that just kind of half over, not even half, just a tad over the cupcake and over the lace circle. And that is our insert finished, and it just all works. It's so pretty. There's lots of room for your message, your to and your from, etc. And they're just such pretty stickers. I've left them 3D because they're not too high. The front of our card's going to be high. It's not going to affect it too much. So now we can turn our attention to the front of our card. I'm just going to use the bone folder just to make sure that edge is still nice and sharp. Now the base layer for the front of the card is where I've used the rubber stamp, I've cut out a layer to fit the front of the card from the metallic layers. They were 7 by 5 inches, so they're the full size of the actual card itself. I've taken one of the lilac layers. I've used the Make-A-Wish stamp to stamp across the top and across the bottom. Now with the stamping, I start in the middle. So I always look at it that the message, the sentiment that we're stamping is central. And then I stamp to the right and then to the left. And then the bottom, because I wanted this off centre, I start at one side, then the other, then the other, then the other. And if all that's confused, you just go with a centre message, centre stamp, and then work to the outside. It's kind of, I suppose, a design trait, because you want to draw the eye to the message straight away. So the eye's going to go to the Make-A-Wish in the centre, and then the rest runs just parallel to that. Hope that makes sense. I've inked the edge with a pink ink pad, and I've only inked it at the top and the bottom, just very, very lightly. I don't know if that's picking it up. And then I've got flat tape on the back, and we're going to add this to the front of our card. And it's going to cover the full card, like so. So I can press that down, and now that's the front, so to speak. Next, this is where I've die cut the lace edge. I've die cut it, just the ornate layer. I've got 3D foam towards the top of the fancy layer at one edge, and then flat tape at the other. And I've used the new damask cardstock from Anna Griffin for this. I'm simply going to add the border edge to edge just above the sentiment. Now we've used this method before and used it as an edge, and I think last time we made it into a ruffle. So this time we're keeping it flat and we're just taking it edge to edge like that. So I know it looks a little bit odd as it is, but it won't be. The centre, I've used the spring plaid cardstock from Anna. I've got 3D foam on the back, and now you're all looking at the 3D foam and where I've positioned it. And you're probably thinking, oh, there's quite a lot on there. It's only because the slightly bigger squares. I've positioned it because on the top of the cardstock we're going to have some embellishments. So I want the embellishments to be able to sit over the top of where the actual 3D foam is underneath, to keep them in line, so to speak. So I can add my cardstock over the lace edge, and that covers the centre of our card, like so. And it covers the edge of the lace die cut. Then I've taken the actual all square border. I've die cut it in lilac, and I've cut it in half. So this is the border die that I've cut in half, and I am simply going to add the shadow layers to either side of my cardstock, and this was on flat tape. There we go. So this was the shadow layer, die cut it, and then I've cut it in half. Next, I've die cut the ornate layer, and I've used Anna's damask cardstock for this, and I've cut that in half. This is on 3D foam, and I'm going to position it over the top of the shadow layer that we've just added to the card, like this. There we go. So now you're thinking, oh, that looks a little bit odd, Anne-Marie. So for the centre, because we don't want to see this section, I've taken the circle from the all square dies. I've die cut the shadow layer. I've got flat tape at 2 sides and 3D foam down the centre. And I'm going to position this through the centre of our card over the border panels that we've just added. Then I've die cut the ornate layer from the all square set. I've used the damask cardstock. I've got 3D foam on the back, and I can add this over the top of our shadow layer like that and press it down. And now I can use these gorgeous, gorgeous mini birthday stickers and sentiments. I've taken 2 of the cupcakes and I'm going to add 1 cupcake to one side of the card and a second one to the opposite side, like that. And then for the centre, I've taken the large cake, and this is on 3D foam. I've peeled the back of the stickers away and added 3D foam to give them a little bit of extra height. And I'm going to pop the cake right in the centre of the ornate circle, like so. Press it down. And then I'm going to finish it with a little gold bow. Now I can either add my bow to the bottom of the cake, to the middle of the cake. I'm actually going to go to the bottom. I could add my bow many places on this card, but I'm going to add it to the bottom of the cake. And that is our card finished. Such a pretty card. I do like these little mini birthday stickers. So gorgeous and versatile. Weddings as well as birthdays. I know the sentiments are all birthdays, but the cakes could be used for weddings. So the inside of our card just tones in so well with the outside, with a little cupcake and our gorgeous happy birthday sentiment. And the outside, now there's lots of layers on this, absolutely. So for posting, ladies and gents, I would say you probably will need some packing. A nice big fat mailer maybe for this, and it is just worth it. It stands up perfectly. That is definitely going to be a mantelpiece pleaser, and I love the colour tones. All those pastels just working so well together with the flash of gold, and the lace edge just blends so well. Please check my blog for lots of photos of this project and the list of everything that I've used. And show me your creations. I do love hearing from you. So say hello on Facebook and let me know what you're creating. And I would just like to say thank you so much for watching. And I shall see you next time.